concentrating on it then. But
Yeah.
but yeah, so at the time I was stuck, and I was basically forced in this live streaming position because I had gotten fired at my job, and I had was getting kicked out of my apartment, all because I read an article in the New Yorker. We'll just start there because that's important to know that information. So I read an article in the New Yorker, and it was about this live streamer, Ice Poseidon, and I did not know who he was or anything like that. And the article was written by a journalist that I was aware of that had written an article about Ross Ulbright. And so and it was the New Yorker. So I thought the live streamer was more well respected than it described in the article. And I read the article, and it described this live streamer, Ice Poseidon, who was kicked off the major platform Twitch. And he started his own network of other live streamers, and they went around IRL, in real life, with cameras and selfie sticks, just filming their daily lives. And so I looked up his little network, and it was filled with people there were a couple decent people on there, but the vast majority of them, 9 out of 10 of them, were obese, aesthetically challenged, autistic, incels. There was one, his actual name was Incel Andy. Like, a lot of them had like Andy in their name, and then he like changed it, but yeah, Incel Andy was his name. So there was like Mexican Andy and Incel Andy and K-pop Andy, but all these like really like video game type Dungeons and Dragons, Magic the Gathering, like not good with women types. And their communities were 80-90% male, more than that, even 95% male. But so I read this article, and I see these like bunch of garbage pail kids, and at the time I was doing great teaching, and I was more than a dozen students have told me I was the best teacher that they had ever had. And I was like, oh, live streaming, it should be a lot like teaching, just speaking. It's something that I would be really good at. So I contacted this Mr. Poseidon, sent him an email, and hadn't even seen any of his racist, toxic content. And I also contacted the people that were on his little piece of shit network. But at the time, I didn't know it was a piece of shit network. And so I invited them to Hawaii. I didn't know anything about live streaming. So I'm like, hey, would you want to come to Hawaii? And you could teach me how to live stream with all the, what kind of, because at that time you needed special software. You couldn't live stream on Instagram or Twitter or Facebook, or the live streaming was like only like YouTube or Twitch at that time. So I was like invited them here to my apartment and to Hawaii to show me how, and I told them I'd show them around the island. And this really upset and hurt the main guy's ego, Ice Poseidon. I didn't know that at the time because I didn't mean anything by it, but it hurt his ego so bad. And so as soon as they found out what school I worked at, he directed his community to just call the school. They found out what school I was teaching at, and they just called the school like 100 times a day, like just talking about me, mentioning me, or saying that they were me, and just harassing the school over and over. And then apparently there's a Hawaii district website, and I was teaching for about a year at that point, or at public high school at a year at that point. I was teaching before that at private schools, but I was teaching at this public high schools for about a year at that time. And I knew there was a school website, but I had no reason to ever go on it. There was a separate website where I got my job money and paycheck and everything. So I never went to like the community blog or whatever, the Hawaii Independent School District.
The bulletin board for
Yeah.
students and parents.
But yeah, so I never went on that, and so I guess I never registered my email or whatever. So they went on there and they registered their own email. Then in my name, they just posted a bunch of adult content and a bunch of racy content and hundreds of bad things, and they sent that to every email address in every teacher, every assistant teacher, every substitute teacher, every janitor, every Hawaii Independent School District employee got an email from the fake me saying just very obscene and crazy things. And so they did that, and then they called the school over and over. And so then he took me into the office one day, and I was even confused. I didn't even find out that they had posted that stuff, because the principal actually never told me that. He's just like, we've gotten a lot of calls. There was a lack of communication in that conversation. And so, but I left, the office, and it is what it is. So I shouldn't have hung out with those people, but it could have happened to anybody. All they needed was to know my name and what school I worked for, and anybody, any teacher, they could have done that to. All they would need is their name and the school they worked for, and they could call the school 100 times in their name, and they could, post bullshit in their name. They also made a fake Twitter account of me and posted some crazy, nasty things. They also posted homoerotic porn on my Twitter and Reddit, and I think they even sent some really terrible things to the church that I was going to at the time. So I also stopped going to that church after over 3 years going there every Saturday. So I was in a tough position, and they called. They were doing everything they could, this Ice Poseidon guy, to ruin my reputation. They called locksmiths, fake locksmiths on me. They called prostitutes from Craigslist, pizzas and Chinese food every night. They stole the doorknob. They had somebody steal the doorknob off my front door, and that was just total harassment. And then they found out where I lived, because I told them where I lived, because I invited them to Hawaii, but they called the management over and over. And then I just published my first book, and they left dozens of fake reviews on the Amazon website, which just sent my book to the bottom, because none of them had actually read my book, but they just do a bunch of scandalous, slanderous lies that they post on there. So I was stuck in this position. My only source of income was I would go live. And at the time, I didn't see it for what it was. Hindsight's 2020. But this horrible Ice Poseidon Paul Danino character, he keeps telling me and others, like, yo, I'm going to let Mr.G on my network, and then he's going to make a lot of money easily. And then he doesn't need to be a teacher. It's okay, he got fired. I'll just put him on my network. So the whole time he's trying to say that he's going to put me on this network, which is going to give me thousands of viewers every time, right? And so I'm like, oh, okay, if I get on the network, it'll be good. It's supposedly like Twitch, right? And I didn't even know what Twitch was at that time. And so he tells me, okay, just go into most public places, and every donation you receive, you have to let it play, And so I found myself, like the only way of making money at that point, I'm living in Hawaii, I have bills to pay, I have my own apartment and my cats to feed, and the only source of income, and they had also got me thrown off of food stamps too. And they called the apartments that I lived in 100,000 times a day until the apartments, obviously had enough. And so I was forced into this live streaming thing. And so I do this, and it's not a good position. And I realize the people that are watching me, they obviously don't even like me. They're not even cheering for me. They don't have my best interest in mind. So I tell them, but it is what it is. That's the position that I'm in. And of course, it wasn't a desirable position. And their communities have always been 95% male, because females do not like Ice Poseidon. They do not like Sandpepper, and just the general consensus, because they're not like really good people. And on TikTok, currently my viewers are 85% women. So obviously right there, that's a telltale sign that I was working with the wrong crowd on YouTube. Because even though their viewers were like 85, 95% male, like all the viewers that I had on YouTube came from them. So I would take probably most of their female viewers, if not all of them, and then some of the less toxic people. So even then, my viewers were like 50, 60% male, because they came all from this toxic communities. So in hindsight, so on January 1st, 2019, I've been doing this just for like 2 months, and I realized like I need to like have another donation goal, because at the time on YouTube you would have donation goals on the top of your screen, and like, oh, donation goals, new microphone or new camera or new tattoo. And so I came up with the idea, oh, these people that are donating, they don't really like me, they want to see me get in trouble, they're trying to slander my name. So I'm like, okay, well, I could do a donation goal, face tattoo, fly to Hollywood to get it, and then I could milk it for over a month or two and get the donation. So I made like a donation goal of like $4,000, $5,000, I don't remember what it was, but I hit it pretty easily. And I would put like other things, like 3 choices. What type of tattoo should he get? Should he get a G? Should he get a Mr.G? Should he get a 420? or whatever the choices were. I don't remember, because I always knew what I was gonna get, the G. And donate $5 to make a vote. I just would milk it until I had enough for the California trip. But at the time, when you couldn't, live streaming wasn't as big as it is now. And I told people, like, eventually in 5 years, you're going to be people live streaming their jobs, their work. It's going to be popular everywhere. That's what I said 5 years ago. You're going to be able to live stream on every platform. TikTok didn't exist, but I was like Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, you'll be able to live stream on everything. And I was 100% right about that. But back to the story. So at that time, you could only live stream on YouTube or Twitch. And you also had to have a special software, Streamlabs, that was like an overlay to your stream. And then every time somebody donated, it would make a sound and then play a particular song. You could donate songs, or you could donate this and that. And so they would always donate racist inward donations when I was in public, to try to get me in trouble, or to try to get me beat up, or this or that.
Oh, right.
And so they would always, do that. And but it was, you had to use this company, and the head of the company, Streamlabs, was good friends with this toxic streamer, Ice Poseidon, the top guy who had the network and everything. So the second that me and JR landed in San Diego, because I knew that they were going to be attacking me and doxing me and making false police reports and this and that. And so my idea was to fly to San Diego and then take a Greyhound to Los Angeles. So the second our plane lands in San Diego, we turn on the live stream, and we're getting, for the first 10 minutes, we're getting hundreds of dollars in donations, and almost 1,000 viewers. I think it was 800, 900 viewers as we're walking out of the airport. And I hadn't smoked. I had quit smoking for 2 years, but we walked out of the airport, and there was some guy, hippie guy with long hair, smoking a cigarette. I was like, "Hey, you got another cigarette?" And then he gave it to me, and then JR was like, "What are you doing?" I was like, "Oh, this is pretty stressful. I think I'll start smoking again." So that was another bad decision. But in hindsight, the whole trip was a horrible, bad decision.
It's almost as if in your gut you knew.
Yeah.
When you say it's really stressful, it's like in your gut you knew it was all probably
Yeah.
a bad decision.
But then the worst thing that happened when we got there, I had paid for our 2 plane tickets, and then I had paid for a hotel for 3 or 4 nights for both me and JR, and I paid in advance. And we were also going to plan on making money when we got there, because if we had 700, 800 viewers, and we're on this big LA adventure, we would obviously have a lot of people would be donating and stuff. But I had no idea that they could just take away our access to this Streamlabs software. So the second we land, for 5 minutes, it's going good, and hundreds of donations are pulling in. But then all of a sudden, it just cancels, and it won't let us log into the Streamlabs. And then it says, "You have been banned from Streamlabs permanently for blah, 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 blah." And it's just what? You let all these toxic streamers go crazy with the N-word and this and that, and you're, I've never heard of anybody being banned from this Streamlabs software.
You're being banned.
Yeah. But I had never heard of anybody being bad, and to this day, it's very, very, very rare. And so the second we land, we lose our ability to make money, But I'm like, oh, well, good thing I paid for the hotel and the plane tickets, And then so, and this was all, to get the tattoo or whatever. And so we go to the hotel, and I'll end it here. There'll be another part, I guess. But we go to the hotel, and the first night there, I'm so tired. Well, first we're in San Diego. And that cold coffee night was the fucking, and that's when I should have known how sick JR was, and how he was not right in the head. So we're at the Greyhound station. They have this outdoor area, and it's freezing cold in San Diego. It's February, early February. It's freezing cold, and it's raining and stuff, and they have an outdoor area, and so we're freezing cold, and then I'm gonna have to continue this for the next part is called cold coffee, because I send JR to get coffee, and he comes back with half a cup of cold, mysterious liquid and a homeless person. But I'll tell you about that next time.